72 tunnels, 851 kilometers underground, and a jaw-dropping $50 billion price tag. That's what it takes to carve a railway through the mighty Himalayas. This is the Sichuan Tibet Railway, one of the most daring and most debated infrastructure projects of our time. For centuries, the Himalayas have been an almost impassable natural barrier. But China's newest rail project aims to change that forever. In this video, we're diving deep into this engineering marvel, a $50 billion railway that's not only connecting remote regions, but also sparking big questions about its long-term impact. So how exactly will this colossal project reshape the region? Let's find out. Stretching roughly 1,629 kilometers, the Sichuan Tibet Railway is being built across some of the most difficult terrain on Earth. When complete, it will connect Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan province, to Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, about the same distance as traveling from New York City to Miami. Right now, that journey takes about 48 hours, but once the railway is finished, it will take just 13 hours. A game-changing reduction. Construction is happening in segments, some already operational. The first section from Chengdu to Ya'an opened on December 28, 2018. Then, on June 25, 2021, the Ningxi-Lhasa section began service, the first electrified railway in Tibet and the first high-speed line on the Tibetan Plateau. The final and most difficult stretch, from Ya'an to Ningxi, is expected to be completed around 2030. Given the extreme conditions, that's an impressive timeline. But this isn't your typical railway. It's one built high in the clouds, running across the roof of the world. At these elevations, the air is so thin that even standing still can leave you short of breath. To handle these challenges, China developed the CR-200J Fuxing train sets, specially engineered for high-altitude travel. Each train is equipped with diffusion and distributed oxygen systems, helping passengers avoid altitude sickness during the journey. Now, let's talk about the altitude. The railway climbs through an elevation difference of about 3,000 meters. That's nearly 10,000 feet. It starts at just 300 meters above sea level in the Sichuan Basin and climbs to over 3,000 meters in Lhasa. In fact, nearly 90% of the railway runs above that 3,000-meter mark. Some sections are even higher than Mont Blanc, Western Europe's tallest mountain. To make this possible, engineers had to construct 72 tunnels, together stretching 851 kilometers, more than half the total line. The longest, the Yigong Tunnel, extends for a staggering 42.5 kilometers, or about 26 miles. Longer than the Channel Tunnel between England and France, which is often called one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. The Ningxi section alone required 47 tunnels and 121 bridges, crossing the Yarlung-Tsangpo River Valley a total of 16 times. But altitude isn't the only problem. The team also battles extreme temperatures and permafrost. Imagine trying to build a solid foundation on ground that stays frozen most of the year, only to melt into soft mud during summer. It's like trying to build a sand castle as the tide comes in, only far more complex. Temperatures swing from blistering heat in summer to freezing cold in winter, so engineers had to design materials that could expand and contract without cracking. And then there's the seismic risk. The Himalayas are one of the world's most earthquake-prone regions. Designing a railway that can withstand tremors adds another layer of difficulty. To overcome it, engineers rely on cutting-edge technology and innovative designs to ensure stability, no matter what nature throws their way. Take the Milan Tunnel, for example. It stretches 10 kilometers and sits 1,200 meters below a mountain range, at an altitude of about 3,100 meters above sea level. A custom-built, world-record tunnel boring machine, the largest and most powerful ever made, was designed specifically for this project. We've already covered this incredible machine in another video. I'll leave a link if you want to check that out. So, why go to all this trouble? Because the economic rewards could be massive. The Sichuan Tibet Railway is expected to transform Tibet's economy, turning one of China's least developed areas into a hub of growth and activity. It will greatly improve connectivity between Tibet and central and eastern China, cutting transportation costs and making trade faster and cheaper. Tourism is another huge factor. Tibet is already known for its breathtaking landscapes and unique culture, and easier access could mean millions of new visitors each year. That could spark a boom in the hospitality sector. Hotels, restaurants, and tour companies could all see explosive growth, creating thousands of new jobs. The railway will also make it easier to access Tibet's rich mineral reserves, including copper, iron, and rare earth elements, essential for everything from electric vehicle batteries to wind turbines. With improved transportation, mining these materials could become far more profitable, potentially turning Tibet into a key player in the global supply chain for high-tech components. All of this could deliver a major boost to Tibet's GDP and overall living standards. China's government says the project is part of its mission to reduce poverty in the region, attracting investment, creating jobs, and lifting incomes. Some economists predict the railway could double Tibet's GDP in the decades to come, a huge leap for one of China's historically poorest regions. But before celebrating too much, there's another side to this story: environmental impact. Tibet's ecosystem is extremely fragile. Often referred to as the third pole, it holds the largest reserve of fresh water outside the Arctic and Antarctic. It's also home to rare and endangered species like the snow leopard, Tibetan antelope, and black-necked crane. Building this massive railway, and the influx of people and activity that comes with it, could disrupt habitats and migration routes for these animals. There's also the issue of pollution. More tourists mean more waste, and Tibet's limited waste management systems may struggle to keep up. We've seen this pattern before: pristine natural sites around the world becoming littered with plastic bottles and trash as tourism rises. And finally, increased industrial and transport activity means more carbon emissions, adding further pressure to an already sensitive environment. While trains are generally more eco-friendly than planes or cars, they still generate emissions, especially when powered by non-renewable energy. The construction process itself also raises environmental alarms. Building tunnels and bridges through untouched terrain risks damaging fragile habitats, increasing soil erosion, and potentially polluting local water sources, a threat that could devastate both wildlife and nearby communities that depend on these rivers and lakes. The Chinese government has promised to enforce strict environmental safeguards, but many environmentalists remain skeptical. It's a classic dilemma of development versus conservation, and finding a true balance won't be simple. Some argue the economic rewards outweigh the environmental risks. Others believe protecting Tibet's unique ecosystem must come first. What do you think? Can a project of this scale truly combine economic growth and environmental protection, or is it always a choice between the two? Now let's turn to the people. The social and cultural consequences of this railway could be profound. Tibet's culture has evolved over thousands of years in isolation, creating traditions unlike anywhere else on Earth. The arrival of the railway could change that dramatically, and not everyone welcomes it. On one hand, improved connections could mean better access to education and healthcare. Tibetan students could attend universities in other parts of China more easily, broadening their horizons. Patients could reach specialized hospitals faster, potentially saving lives, especially in remote mountain areas where such access is limited today. But on the other hand, there's concern over what some describe as the Sinicization of Tibet, a growing presence of Han Chinese migrants and tourists that could overwhelm the local Tibetan population. Many worry this could dilute traditional culture, language, and way of life. There's also the question of economic inequality. While the railway could create new business opportunities, critics fear that the biggest benefits might flow to outside investors or large corporations, rather than to ordinary Tibetans. Similar trends have been seen in other developing regions, where locals often feel left behind as rapid modernization takes hold. Now, let's zoom out. This project isn't just about economics or culture, it's deeply tied to geopolitics. For China, the Sichuan-Tibet Railway holds massive strategic value. It gives Beijing tighter control over Tibet, a region that has faced tension and unrest in the past. With the railway, the government could move troops and supplies more quickly if needed, an obvious advantage from a national security perspective. But China's neighbors, especially India, are watching closely. The two countries have long-standing border disputes across the Himalayas, and India worries that the new railway could give China a military edge in the region. Beyond that, analysts say the project may tie into China's Belt and Road Initiative, an ambitious plan to build a modern Silk Road connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa. If so, the railway could help expand China's influence deeper into South Asia. It could also reshape global trade routes. Should the line eventually link with neighboring countries, more goods could move overland, bypassing traditional sea routes and choke points like the Strait of Malacca, a strategic shift with worldwide implications. So, what do Tibetans themselves think? Opinions are mixed, and difficult to gauge fully due to restrictions on free speech in the region. Some Tibetans welcome the project, seeing economic opportunity and better access to the rest of China. Others are more cautious, fearing land loss, cultural erosion, and outside exploitation of Tibet's resources. From the Chinese government's point of view, this railway is a cornerstone of development and poverty reduction. Officials argue that it will lift incomes and create jobs in one of China's poorest regions. They often point to the success of the Qinghai-Tibet Railway, completed in 2006, as proof that such megaprojects can boost local economies. Beijing also insists that it is taking environmental concerns seriously, promising wildlife corridors, anti-erosion measures, and systems to protect permafrost. Still, many scientists and conservationists question how effective these protections will truly be in practice. From Beijing's perspective, strengthening Tibet's links to the rest of China is vital for national integration and stability. Infrastructure, in their view, is not just about transport, it's about nation building. They also see the project as a symbol of technological achievement, proof that China can conquer one of the toughest engineering environments on the planet. Meanwhile, neighboring countries are watching the geopolitical ripple effects closely. As mentioned earlier, India is particularly concerned about the military implications, while others in the region are assessing how this might shift power dynamics across the Himalayas. So, what lies ahead for the Sichuan-Tibet Railway? If everything goes to plan, by 2030 trains could be gliding across the Tibetan Plateau at speeds that once seemed impossible. There's even talk of extending the network further, to connect more remote Tibetan regions and possibly neighboring nations in the future. But completing the railway is only the beginning. Maintaining such a system at high altitude, through extreme temperatures, thin air, and unstable terrain, will be an ongoing battle against nature. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway is far more than just a transport project. It's a complex intersection of economics, environment, culture, and geopolitics. A project that raises as many questions as it answers. Can China truly unlock the economic benefits without sacrificing Tibet's culture or its fragile ecosystem? Can regional tensions and rivalries be contained as the railway transforms the landscape? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the Sichuan-Tibet Railway will shape the future of Tibet, China, and the entire Himalayan region for decades to come. It's a story still being written, and one we'll continue to follow closely. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your comments.